You are watching Talking Records. We are CocoRosie. CocoRosie.
You are advertising this tour with slogan, come if you are weird, come if you are not, we will convert you. Creative weirdness was always an important ingredient of your art, but how do you define this good, positive kind of weird in a wide social and artistic context?
Well, I've been reflecting lately on how we were raised with a particular sense of identity as outsiders. And I think our parents were similar. So we've never had the goal to fit in. And I think it's become a part of our value system. And it's something that we try to encourage people is to stand out, to be individual, and to kind of challenge social norms. So I think it's positive all around to be unique.
In a description of the album provided by your label, there's a mention of chopping spoons and typewriters into 16ths as a beat-making method. What does it actually mean, and what other unconventional techniques were used on this album?
That was about your beat lesson.
Oh, yes. I did have a beat lesson during this record, which proved to be a success. Bianca's been more of the beat maker and programmer in the group. But I became very handy one day as she instructed me on the computer how to make beats and chop things up and use old samples that we had and recording sounds from the household. We worked in a home studio for most of this record, which was very fun after many years of being in studios, big studios. So finding little sounds to record, spoons, typewriters, whatever was in the environment. And then Bianca taught me to just chop them up very tight and clean and make them go really fast.
You said that you don't listen too much to new music or music at all. Why you are not interested in music as a fans and listeners?
Me personally, I make music every day when I'm by myself, and I dance to it. So that my addiction is actually to making it. Even it's not things that I even release, but it's just I'm like constantly trying to discover how to make dance music. So that's my obsession. And when I listen to music, it's usually really old. I got like really hooked on Hildegard from 1100, you know? And I was showing Sierra some of the medieval music I've been listening to, and then turns out she knows all of it, and it's deep in her musical story of her first singing. So I think we have very specific taste, and you've been listening to Afro beats, and sometimes there's like a moment where we kind of obsess over one thing, but it's usually in relation to dance. It's not so much, or like some kind of creativity. It's not like really we don't consume. Also with movies and programs and TV and media, especially my sister, pretty much no consumption going on. So it's a bit unusual, but it's just a
very low consumption.
Yeah,
almost none per year. Just information, But that it's not so. I've realized over time it's not so much a conscious choice, but rather I found that I am extra sensitive, and in fact I am not able to digest and process a lot of information, so I have to keep it very low.
A big part of CocoRosie image is the blending of innocence and darkness, the playfulness and the profound themes. Is there a deeper meaning behind this duality, and what does it allow you to express that a more singular tone might not?
It's very true. It's still our major recipe. But It also just is an organic fact of our personalities and the things that we're attracted to as a duo. But inside of the kind of candy-coated stuff is usually where the darkest stories are actually lurking, and that really comes through on this record. I think of Wait For Me, and it's the most sweet and the most innocent, but if you look a little closer at the story, it's actually pretty tragic and pretty violent. But it would take several looks, and I think about even different ages of people, that like maybe young people could listen to our music and enjoy it and also not really perceive the violence. And an older person who has more depth of life experience could catch different layers. So in that way, it's all kind of simultaneously happening. So there's this kind of coexistence.
Since you mentioned this song yesterday, addressing the difficult subject of domestic violence, I find there is a profound sense of empathy shining through this song. Do you identify yourselves as empaths? And if so, how does that influence your ability to delve into such sensitive topics?
I've kind of rejected this word of being an empath, maybe because it becomes so kind of popularized, at least in places we come from. But we do kind of, I feel we've always felt we give voice to the voiceless. So even within our own family, we're holding space for multiple generations and different people within our own family. So I suppose that we are holding kind of a lot of emotional space for different stories, people's experience.
In the song Nothing But Garbage, there is a striking lyric, wisdom earned by way of getting burned. This resonates strongly with the album's theme of turning pain into knowledge and trash into treasure. How do you approach changing those burned experiences into something valuable?
It's a very profound question in a way. It's like, how do we evolve in our lives? We also had a big house fire, so there was a double meaning to that line, which I've been reflecting on, how poetry and lyrics, how there's actually so many meanings just in one line, So we did have a very rich, the last 10 years of our lives have been very rich in life experience and lessons and hardship. So we had a lot available to us to put into the record.
The list I have has been described as ecstatic ode to sisterhood. Can you elaborate on the intuitive understanding between you when creating?
It's very difficult working with siblings. Innately, there's something that's competitive. But after so many years, working through that has been the treasure. Overcoming the tension and differences has been a huge gift. And then this song was written as the first song on the record that was created now a couple of years ago.
If you each had to choose one quality the other has, what would that be?
I would love to be able to sing like opera.
And I don't know how to put words to it, but I would love to be able to do what Bianca does with visual art, painting, makeup, what she does with music too, and it's based on her intuition. So a lot of musicians have developed technique and that gets in her way. So she's the opposite. She has all of those other things preserved, the intuition, the witchcraft, the things that come from another realm per se. And she has access to those and her technique doesn't get in the way. Somehow
You described the song No Need for Money as anti-materialistic. What do you hope is the most significant takeaway for listeners from the song?
The message is pretty simplistic. We're all gonna die, and we can't take material possessions or money with us. And the bigger message is that we're destroying our environment for money, and it's not sustainable. So and then the spiritual part is just, what do we really value if we can think even beyond our mortality in a way. So I started thinking more about just the corporate greed that is like driving the destruction of our environment, and I wonder sometimes, like, how do people, really greedy people, especially older people, how do they stay so motivated when they're so close to death? Like, they can't take any of that with them. I think we were raised with a very close connection to nature, and it's tied into our spirituality. So I think to try to be in harmony with the earth, and our bodies, it just makes sense. And it would just be imagine if everyone, the whole world, all the people have one goal: to preserve the environment in which we live. We could do so much. Just busy dominating and killing each other.
I think to achieve this goal, we would have to go 3 or 4 generations ahead, because I think we are so far behind this kind of thinking.
I guess people have to be directly experiencing the biological threats in order to take it seriously, like when running out of water and things like that. When you talked about 4 generations ahead, I think I lack that perspective. I've always been a kind of apocalyptic type. I don't know if it's the time I've grown up in or if it's just my personality, but I've always been thinking about apocalypse. But I think it's a problem that a lot of us can't project forward. I have a friend who's a Native American person who described how where he comes from, they are very connected to 7 generations backwards of ancestors and 7 generations to the front, and they consider these ancestors, including the ones in the future, to be present with them. So they are supported, and they're at the center of these 2 long lines of generations, and it really affected me and made me realize how disconnected I was from past and future, and how that would really change the way that you operate if you're thinking of your existence always in connection in that way.
That's what big sisters do.
Thank you for watching my interview with CocoRosie. Next to my head you will find more videos on my channel, and I will see you next time.